All candidates will be asked the same questions. And I guess we should get started. So are we all ready? Okay, we'll start with Matt.
I want to thank the Chamber for hosting this event and for all of you for being here this afternoon. I'm running for the office of mayor because I believe I have the skill set needed to give the citizens the mayor they deserve. I command extensive leadership experience and a history of delivering on commitments to improving our community. Redondo needs a mayor who invests time analyzing an issue from all points of view, seeks a solution that benefits all stakeholders. I do my homework on issues rather than just relying on information that's given to me. I listen to what others have to say, carefully weigh their concerns and ideas when making a decision. I build relationships with people by showing them respect, following through on commitments, and communicating with them openly and honestly. The citizens of Redondo Beach also need a mayor who represents them effectively at the county, state, and federal level. When the fishing grounds vital to the King Harbor Marina faced closure under the MLPA, I joined the mayor to earn Supervisor Don Knabe's support for a resolution keeping our local fishing grounds open. As a member of the Stormwater Subcommittee, I testified in front of the Regional Water Quality Control Board on the impacts that new discharge limits would have on cities. I was asked by the mayor recently to testify to the California Energy Commission regarding the AES permit. I am the only candidate to take a position on Measure A, participated in writing the argument against Measure A. It has profound implications for the city for years to come. I have staunchly supported our schools and address you today as a candidate who has endorsed the recent bonds and measures that directly benefit our schools, maintain our property values, and provide our businesses with the employees that will be trained for the 21st century. By doing my own research, I prevented the approval of a fee increase for trash disposal that saved the citizens and businesses $500,000 in just 1 year. In addition, I proposed an alternative to a staff-recommended sewer fee increase that kept $2.5 million in taxpayers' pockets. I'm the only candidate to oppose a fee for paramedic service. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Steve?
My turn? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for having us up here. I appreciate the time. Well, during my tenure as the City Councilman for District 1, I'm very proud of my accomplishments. I have never been afraid to take on the tough issues we have down there, and I've worked diligently to solve the community problems. I bring people together, and I try to build consensus. As mayor, I'll do the same thing no matter where you live in the city. Concern for my family, your family, our community, and our quality of life are the reasons I'm running for mayor. My experience as a successful small business owner, which means I sign the checks and don't just cash them. I balance the budget. I can set priorities and set goals. And I believe that results are way more important than just talk. My time in the council has provided me the ability to bring people together, and while not always successful in achieving results, we at least try. We're always accessible. The commitment to leadership and my experience will help them move our city forward. My vision for the next 4 years, it includes continuing the renovations on the Esplanade, continuing the renovations of Artesia Boulevard, continue the revitalization of King Harbor and Pier, the King Harbor and the Pier, while including all the residents who are concerned in the decision-making process. I want to work with the Redondo Beach Unified School District. My kids graduated from there, and continue having a great educational system. I will continue to work closely with the police and the fire department and the public works department to make sure our streets are clean and our streets are safe. And as far as Measure A, I will work to fulfill the will of the voters. While I'm not supporting Measure A, if the voters vote whatever way, I'm going to go that way. I will continue to celebrate our city's history and everything like that. We have great arts program. And by the way, I will continue to fix your potholes, get your trees trimmed, answer your phone calls and answer your emails that have my community meetings. I am famous for that. I'm called the pothole guy. So please vote for me, Steve Aspel, on March 5th. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Pat Ost. I'm City Councilman for District 3. I'm also a lifetime resident of the city, and I'm running for mayor. I'm running for mayor because I want to continue to represent the people of the city of Redondo Beach. And while, regardless of what happens in this election, I'll have 2 more years on the council, I want to do longer than that. I want to keep working for the city and the citizens. I was a full-time employee for 34 years, and for the last 10 years, I've served as chairman of the Citizens Court Council, 3 years on the Beach Cities Health District Board, and 6 years on the City Council. So I have 44 years of continuous experience working for the City of Redondo Beach. I was your fire chief, and so I want to continue. In those 44 years, I learned a lot about this city, what worked, what didn't work. I watched councils. I came to council meetings, almost every council meeting, for almost 30 years. And in that time, I saw a lot of things that were tried and tried and tried again. And that's one of the reasons why I ran for council, was to be able to say, you know, it didn't work in 72, it didn't work in 89, why do you think it's going to work today? And, you know, I'm famous for the fact that my council constituents say, well, if you challenge him, he'll bring out the pictures or he'll bring out the reports. I'm big on history in the city of Redondo Beach and have retained that history. So I've learned a lot about this city. That is my favorite thing, is the history of this city. And I continually work to make this a better place. So please help me continue that 44-year record of working for the citizens of the city of Redondo Beach.
My name is Eric Coleman. I grew up here, I went to school here, and I've been a teacher here. Being a teacher has taught me to listen, generate fresh ideas, and facilitate discussion. I've been involved in politics for many years as well. I've been an editorial cartoonist for Redondo Union High School's paper, The High Tide, as well as El Camino College's The Union, as well as The Easy Reader. I've lived a lifetime in my 31 years, taught English in India, done farm work in Canada. I've managed a shop in Chicago and produced a play about it. Along my travels, I've seen how different cities operate and what works. Now I want to enrich Redondo, my hometown, with some of these ideas that I've learned along the way. That being said, I think we need to move beyond this myopic approach to things while addressing the elephants in the room. I, like you, have a few questions. Why does bureaucracy feel the need to spend every last dime in fear that it won't be there for them again next year? Is a $200 million pier revitalization project just another deal which will strip the pier of its character and price out the locals? How many condo units can a land developer pack into one residential lot? Is it Redondo Beach or Recondo Beach? Why is there a street freeze festival, a freeze on street festivals in effect? Will the taxpayer be left holding the bag once again when it comes to cleaning up the potentially toxic soil at the AES plant? Do more restrictions make us safer? More bans make us better? More laws make us more free? Now, we have a great chance here, Redondo, but bear in mind we could lose it all if we're not careful. There's a storm approaching, and I believe I have the life skills and the creativity to guide us past the rocks and to safe harbor. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all. I think you've answered this question already, but we'll go with it. I'll give you an extra minute to tell us. The citizens and business owners in Redondo Beach appreciate the commitment you're making running for public office. Please tell us why you're running and making this enormous decision. So you get one more minute on, and we will start with Steve. Oh,
I'll
no,
start.
Matt. It's Matt.
I
Sorry.
wasn't sure because
Yeah,
I was
sorry.
the one on the opening statement.
Right.
Okay, very good. When I first considered running for mayor, I looked around and I looked at the possible candidates and realized I had something to offer that I thought the city of Redondo Beach could benefit from. And that is my relationships with the school board members. I'm endorsed by 3 of the current school board members, in addition to 1 former, and the 3 school board member-elects. I believe that my particular skill set from over 10 years of teaching in the Redondo Beach school districts, the relationships I've made with the people, my volunteer work with AYSO, Boy Scouts, and the other community organizations puts me in a very unique position to be able to listen to the voices of the residents and be able to work to provide solutions that really take into consideration all the different viewpoints of Redondo Beach.
Thank you. Steve?
Well, I'm not a very good politician, but I'm a people person. About 12, 13 years ago, I was the president of the Redondo Rotary, and one of the members, Paul Connolly, asked me to be on the Planning Commission, and I said I didn't have any time for that. but I got involved, and that one thing led to another. And then I just started getting really interested in local politics, so I ran for city council. And then because of some health issues, I wasn't going to run for mayor, but my wife, who's sitting right here, and my 2 daughters talked me into it a few months ago. And I thought, I'm going to give this a shot because I would really enjoy being mayor. I have the time to do it. I love to work with anybody in the community, no matter what side you're on of any issue. And I too, I have no vision to be president of the United States or an assemblyman or a congressman, but I do love Redondo Beach. I lived here since 1975, and I just want to continue on as mayor and do the best job I can.
Thank you. Pat?
I want to become the mayor of City of Redondo Beach because of commitment. I've committed 98% of my adult life so far to working to make Redondo Beach a better place to live, work, and play. This is what my career has been. This is my life. And I want to continue to give back to it. It's given me a great life, and I want to give back. As far as endorsements and people who would endorse me, I hope all those thousands of people that I've worked with and helped over the past 44 years will be my endorsement. I think my career and what I've done is my endorsement. So you will not see any literature or anything from me with a list of names of all the people that have helped me, because I couldn't list all the people that helped me, because it's such a long list. I've had a lot of contact, and this is my life. I want to continue to be your mayor.
Thank you. Eric?
Sure. Well, first of all, I'm not a lawyer, nor do I have ties to real estate. I want to bring new blood and fresh ideas to the table. And I think there's a lot of issues that aren't being discussed. For instance, I think the residents of Redondo are sick and tired of being nickeled and dimed by the city. If a homeowner, for instance, wants to hire someone to install a rain gutter or build a shed, they have to pull a permit first. If a homeowner wants to make an addition to their home, more permits, more paperwork, more fees. Even if you want to celebrate your block, your community, your neighborhood with a street festival or with a block party, there's a $72 sound amplification permit that has to be pulled and a $25 barbecue rental deposit, because you can't be trusted to use your own barbecue. I think the residents are sick of this kind of thing. For instance, Catalina Island, for instance, had a problem with planes that landed at the airport. They jacked up the fee, and less people came. There were less people. There was less revenue generated, and this Catalina Island suffered. And then finally, new management stepped in. They implemented an annual membership fee with a reduced rate for the bus into town. Now Catalina is flourishing. I think we could do something like that. Thanks.
Okay. Our next question. The mayor is a non-voting member of the city council. Knowing this, what do you see as the role of the mayor? Steve?
The mayor gives direction and leadership. It's not just a ceremonial position where you go out and do ribbon cutting and give out keys to the city. What I would do as the mayor is when there's a staff report, I would choose to give my opinion first and then listen to the council members and try and give the direction of where I would like to go, because the mayor doesn't have a vote, only has a veto. The mayor has the ability to work with staff and try and implement some changes, but they're not always that easy to do, and help speed things through the city, like permit processes for new business. But it's a leadership role to work with staff, meet with the citizens, and just try and build a consensus so the people who are here aren't afraid to go to City Hall. They got to be able to come here and talk at the podium and be respected and get a return phone call. That's it.
Thank you. Pat?
Well, the mayor is the face of the city of Redondo Beach. That is the person that people want to talk to. That is, even when you're a councilman, they want to talk to the mayor. The mayor does not get to vote, but he is pivotal because he's the one that sets the agenda. The mayor and the city manager set the agenda. They're the ones that lay out what the agenda will be for the meeting. So if he wants to get an item on the agenda, it's on there. He doesn't get to vote, but he does get to veto, and it takes 4 votes to override a mayor's veto. So if it's three members that vote and 2 that don't, then the mayor can veto that, and it takes another vote and 4 members to override his veto. So he's a pivotal person in what happens on our meetings, and he is the face of the city. Thank you.
Eric?
I agree with Councilman Ost. I think that the mayor's position is pretty important as well as symbolic. The mayor is, of course, the figurehead for the city, like Mr. Ost said. He's the face of the city. I think he also should provide guidance and gently nudge the public in the correct direction. For instance, bicycles, there need to be wider bicycle lanes. So something through like the mayor's challenge, the Blue Zone Mayor's Challenge, the mayor is instrumental in helping that happen and pushing the public to accept something like more transit, more bicycle lanes, just a better way of life. And the veto power is rather powerful. I think Mayor Ginn should have used the veto power in this leaf blower ban that I think took entirely too much time of the council. Thank you.
Matt?
I agree with much of what's been said, but there's one thing I think that's been really missing, and that's the role of the mayor advocating on behalf of the citizens, residents, businesses of Redondo Beach to the county, to the state, to the federal government. I think the mayor is the one person who represents all of Redondo Beach, and that it's really important that the mayor take that leadership position and be out there in front on issues that affect the city, from unfunded mandates to new regulations that are coming down that affect everyone here in Redondo Beach. I think the other aspect of the mayor that I think is really important is to take on a leadership position in the local community. And I think, as an example, Measure A, and like I've said before, I'm coming out against Measure A. I'm saying vote no on Measure A because I think it is wrong for the city of Redondo Beach, and I think it's important for someone who expects to be mayor to take a leadership position on important issues like that.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is, we'll start with Pat, and it's the Los Angeles Air Force Base is a major influence to the economic engine of the South Bay, and there's a threat of another round of base closures in the near future. As mayor, what role would you play to keep the base here?
Well, I've already taken some leadership in that area, and when it first came around and we were going to lose the base, we were able to save it. Now we have to save it. What a lot of the bureaucrats don't understand is you don't just move it to South Dakota and save money. The operation has to be done, but they're talking about, well, we can move it and save money. They can't save money because the technical experts are here. They've been here since the 50s. The whole satellite industry was built here. That is our satellite station. I mean, that's where all the contracts for satellites and everything go through. It is pivotal to our defense and our region and our economy, because we need to save it in order to keep those qualified people here and keep that money here.
Eric?
Yes. I think if we lose the Air Force Base, we're going to hear a giant sucking sound all throughout Redondo. And I think, more to the point, if I would do everything possible, I would offer every kind of incentive to keep that base here. And I think if the city, the recent history of what the city has been doing is any kind of test, we'll probably just end up suing the Air Force Base for leaving, just like Nordstrom's. Now, that's a funny case. They left and sued for breach of contract as well as not filing an environmental impact report. And then, of course, the city of Torrance and the South Bay Galleria, the mall there sued the South Bay Galleria. I mean, where does this end? Are we going to declare war on Torrance? What are we going to do? Annex Rat Beach to block their access to the sea? I just don't understand why the city is so litigious and chooses to, and the batting record is atrocious as well. I mean, if the city attorney was, if he was a batsman, he would be bounced back to the minors. It's lost all these lawsuits, and it's cost the city millions, of taxpayers millions of dollars, and I just don't see any sense to it.
Matt?
Thank you. Well, I've already worked in part with Councilmember Aspel here in traveling back to D.C. We met with numerous leaders there, both our state Senate leaders, Representative Waxman. We met with Jane Harmon, who, although is no longer a legislative leader, was instrumental in keeping Los Angeles Air Force Base here in the past. Asked her guidance on what we should do. We made sure that Representative Waxman took visits here and took a tour of the industries that are supported by the LA Air Force Base, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, and the rest. And so we've already been proactive. I've been proactive with regards to making sure that LA Air Force Base stays here, understanding the importance of the LA Air Force Base to our local economy in the South Bay.
Thank you. Steve?
You were back there, too?
I was back.
Okay, I was with him. Redondo has a long history of trying to help that Air Force Base stay in the South Bay, and it's not going to change no matter who you have as mayor, I guarantee you that. But it is important. My dad worked for Garrett Air Research. I grew up in Westchester. Without the Air Force Base there, half the people in this room wouldn't be here. We've been back there, obviously, to D.C. numerous times, as our predecessors have. It's not a matter of losing jobs to Topeka, Kansas, or to Texas, or to North Dakota. It's a matter of national security, because the people that work here are simply not going to move to those places to go work for the firms that are relocating. So the sequestration comes up every 10 years, and our city has to be ever ready to go back there and do battle with our Congress people and our senators, and I think we've shown an ability to do that, and I will continue to go do that. And as we will all agree, it's extremely important.
Thank you. Okay, Eric, you get to start this one. AES has submitted plans to repower into a much smaller footprint and has offered up to 38 acres for other uses. Is Measure A the right solution for the AES site, or do you prefer another solution?
Yes on Measure A. When it comes to the AES quagmire, the AES propaganda machine has churned out an impressive amount of misinformation, producing a bunch of sticks in the mud, bumps on a log, and wet blankets, with a generous amount of feet dragging. We have the opportunity now, Redondo, to pass Measure A and rezone that land, 40% commercial and 60% open space. Much of AES's chicanery is in convincing the public that Measure A will lead to condoization. Nothing could be further from the truth. If AES has their way and builds a smaller plant, the unused land will indeed be sold off to condo developers. And that'll increase our traffic, our sewage, our public safety costs, and those public safety costs are very high. As Councilman Brand put it, particulate emissions from a new power plant will increase 5 to 15 times more than the existing one, leading to a host of health problems. I'm very concerned with that soil as well. How toxic is that soil? Now, it's built on liquefaction ground. A good earthquake could split that open. All those toxic chemicals could drain into the groundwater, flush out to the harbor, and waking up to 1 million dead fish would seem commonplace.
Okay, Matt?
No on Measure A. Measure A is not the solution we need here in Redondo Beach. It will lead to years of litigation with AES. It's not a question of being scared of AES. I'm actually the only council member, the only candidate who supported a resolution opposing the new power plant. The issue is that this is not the right solution. This is not the right way to go about removing the power plant from our coastal area. There's numerous problems with it, including the fact that it's spot zoning. It doesn't use really the zoning that's surrounding it. It requires, the zoning across the street is 20% public open space, and here they're demanding over 60% public open space. Across the street, there's no set percentage of view corridors. Over 50% of that property, it would be dedicated to view corridors under Measure A. So no, I don't support Measure A. It's the wrong way to go about removing the power plant from this location, and it will lead to literally millions of dollars in costs for the city.
Thank you. Steve?
No, I don't support Measure A. But I was on the Planning Commission, along with Matt, back in the early 2000s, and we came up with the infamous Heart of the City. Now, had that gone through, we might have 2,998 condominiums there when nobody wanted that. However, the power plant would not be there. So the only reason I don't want Measure A is because I don't think there's enough meat on the bone to give AES enough critical mass to actually move. Depending who you talk to, it's either 60-40 split or 70-30 split, and as for development versus open area. I don't know if and when the money for a park will ever come to fruition. In our economy now, I don't see it happening for a long time. So just based on that, I just don't think that particular measure is suitable for our city. I don't think the citizens of Redondo want to subsidize a parkland, and whether for us or for Hermosa or for anybody else. So no.
Pat?
From the beginning, I've been very much in favor of the people having a vote on the future of the power plant. I've had 2 votes done right here in this council chamber trying to allow the people to vote and weigh in on their feeling on the power plant. But I also was totally against a zoning initiative, one like Measure A, and said that I would not do a resolution to the CEC if we tied it to an initiative. Measure A is a 30-page document full of ambiguity that is contradictory to itself. When it says that they can't, the spacing and the height limits and all these, and they keep contradicting what's already there. It is not good law for our city. It is not what we need. We need to make a decision on the power plant, and then we need to decide what's going to be built there. Thank you.
Okay. Thank goodness we're done with that one. Okay. Because of the constant demand for providing city services, there is regular pressure to increase city revenues. How would you propose that we accomplish this? And we start with Matt.
I've been an opponent of a number of fee increases that have come through. In some cases, I felt they were too abrupt and needed to be spaced in or phased in and not put in so abruptly. There's a number of ways for us to increase revenue. We're working on that with regards to encouraging business, encouraging development in some areas, such as the North Redondo Beach, where they're looking at building, they are going to build 2 new hotels. I think important in this is that when you want people to spend money in your city, you need to make sure you have a safe city. So I think working to make sure that Redondo Beach is looked at as being a safe place to come and enjoy yourself and spend money, whether it be at the harbor or the pier or any place else at in the city, is a really important aspect of that. But I think if we foster good business sense in the city, we will get the revenue from it.
Okay, thank you. Steve?
I think the current council has done a pretty good job of bringing in, or helping bring in new business. We have the hotels up on Marine Street. Marine going to start groundbreaking very shortly. The Shade Hotel will be groundbreaking very shortly. You have the Center Cal, what we call it, the harbor revitalization. That's a lot of money. And once these businesses come in, there's going to be a lag time, but you're going to have all this new income base to help pay for, and it's ongoing income, not one-time money, to help pay for public services and police and fire and public works. As far as helping new business, streamlining the permit process so they can open up businesses on the PCH. A lot of it has to do with parking issues, which we're going to have to tackle those issues really soon, just to open up these stores for new business. But we're working really hard right now to bring in all kinds of business, and then we still have to work on the upgrading and helping out the Galleria. And I'm certain that once this all debacle's over, they'll find a replacement for Nordstrom's.
Okay, Pat?
We absolutely have to do the revitalization efforts that we're now putting into place. Because, when they say, well, it's tough times and we're going to have to trim to the bone. Well, we're not just trimming to the bone. We're going through the bone at this point. We're talking about amputation. With cutting back and all the economy and everything, we need the revitalization. We need business. We need to bring revenues, because what most people don't understand is we only get a very small portion of the property tax, 18%. And they say, well, I already pay very large taxes. Well, their taxes is a small portion of our general fund budget. We need the revenue in order that the citizens don't have to pay for all that they are getting now. We offset those costs by having business be our partner and supporting our city. So we absolutely need it.
Thank you. Eric?
Sure. Street festivals, undo the street festival freeze, bring in people from all over the Los Angeles area, maybe the state, the country, the world. I mean, like Long Beach, for instance, has a jazz festival, has the marathon that brings people from out of the area. I mean, we might have to invest a little bit in the beginning of that, but we're going to recoup the money that we spent on it in the long run through people visiting, our city. They like the restaurant. They're going to come back, in a month after they come here for the event. Also, just to harken back to the AES briefly, I mean, if we built a hotel on that land, say a 200-room hotel that charged $100 a night, we would be making $2 million a year. Right now, AES pays less than 1% of the city's budget, about $400,000. So, I mean, events, we have to spend money to make money.
Okay, thank you. Question 6. This will start with Steve. What is the most important regional issue facing our community, and what action would you take to address it?
It's going to go back to the Air Force Base. I know we want to say the AES plant, but the Air Force Base in El Segundo, there's probably people in this room that know it's there, but people watching on TV or down the street don't know there's even Air Force Base there. So educating the public that is the heart and soul of the aerospace industry in our region, and most people in this room depend some form or another on that Air Force Base. So we have to just spend time lobbying and traveling to Washington, D.C. to make sure that we are not on this sequestration list about closing that thing. And secondary, of course, would be the AES plant and all the surrounding development issues. But again, Air Force.
Pat?
The most important regional thing for us is, like Councilman Aspel says, it's the Air Force Base right next to us as the closest thing. But we also have the economy and what it's doing to the other cities around us, and the healthcare system and the healthcare insurance and all the problems that's now created. It's taxing for our paramedic service. It's taxing for the number of homeless people we have moving here that cares. So there's a lot of regional issues that need to be conquered. And I serve on our Independent Cities Association, and these are the things that we're looking at, is how it's impacting our safety services, our medical services, and things like the Air Force Base. So the economy and the amount of money in the area is the biggest problem facing us today.
Eric?
I think it's the pier revitalization, or at least how we're focusing our efforts on one part of Redondo while neglecting another part. What sparked the great Redondo Pier fire of 1988 is still unknown, but what sparked my interest, and should probably spark yours, is why CenterCal, the company chosen to revitalize that pier, got its contract in stark violation of the city charter. The company, whose contract is set to be finalized in March, has yet to submit sketches, blueprints, or detailed plans of what our city will look like upon completion of that revitalization, and they plan to invest $200 million into the project. $200 million? Heck, with that kind of money, we could reinstate the red cars. I just don't understand that. Now, I'm not against investment, don't get me wrong, but a $200 million price tag to this whole affair is almost sure to raise the rent, change the pier's character, and price out the locals. Businesses that have been there for 40 years. The businesses on the pier and the surrounding residents are the true stakeholders in that deal, and they deserve a vote. Being paid lip service by CenterCal is not being paid at all.
Okay, thank you. Matt?
Well, I agree with my two council members up here with what they've said with regards to the Air Force Base, and we all understand the importance it has in the South Bay economy. But in addition, we've got some short-term issues that have to be addressed, and that has to do with covering increased costs to benefits, employee benefits. It's something that's going up by quite a large amount, about $500,000 every year, that we have to be able to cover in the short term. On top of that, we have some unfunded mandates, such as new stormwater regulations that could add another $500,000 to the city's costs with regards to handling stormwater runoff in the city. So these are some shorter-term issues that we have to take care of. I think in the longer term, it all ends up revolving around making sure we have a vibrant business base and that we have a vibrant economy in the South Bay. And that includes both working with our legislators to make sure the LA Air Force Base stays here in Los Angeles, but also making sure that business in general is supported in Redondo Beach and the South Bay.
Okay. Well, you've done really well. We have a little extra time, so we'll go with one extra question. And we'll start with Pat. There are some residents that complain about traffic within the city. Do you believe we have a traffic problem in Redondo Beach? And if so, where are the problems and how would you address them?
Well, one of the main problems that we have is traffic on Pacific Coast Highway. Every day, every morning and every night, it's just inundated with people that travel through our city. They're not people who, some of them live here and drive from here, but most of them are driving through here. And that causes a problem with traffic. I mean, in midday and even early evening, Pacific Coast Highway becomes somewhat of a ghost town. There's not a lot of traffic. But for those morning and early evening commutes, it is a giant problem. One of the problems that we have, and we've heard before, well, we could synchronize the signals. Well, I started working for the city as a traffic signal electrician, and we can't synchronize them because they're not our signals. It's a state highway. The state Caltrans controls that highway. We don't have any real input on it. They are the ones that do all that. So we can't do anything about PCH other than complain.
Okay, thank you. Eric?
Sure. Traffic is a big issue. The roads right now are built to handle about 30% of the traffic that's currently on these roads. To get back to the red cars, why don't we build those? If we're going to invest some money like that, let's connect North Redondo to the pier, say, with red cars. I don't know if anyone remembers the story of the red cars, but they used to have this very efficient trolley system that connected most of Los Angeles, just about all of Los Angeles, one of the most efficient transit systems in the world. And then GM and Firestone came in, bought it up, and tore it up just to use LA as a test case to see if people would lobby their local governments to reinstate a very efficient transit system, or would they just break down and buy cars? And of course, it's evident what happened. So we are very much a car culture. And I think as a mayor, symbolically, we can generally nudge the public towards adopting public transit as a viable means. And I mean, people just aren't going to take the bus. They just aren't. It has a negative connotation, a negative stigma to it. But if we could do something, even an open-air trolley system or something like that, to connect parts, the whole of Redondo, I think that would be a step in the right direction.
Matt?
Thank you. Well, there are some things that are actually being planned. For instance, they're looking at, we will be installing a right turn lane at PCH in Torrance that will improve traffic flow, a right turn lane cutout at Aviation and Prospect. Lawndale is heading up a massive rearrangement of Inglewood Avenue with the 405 freeway, which, by the way, is the busiest section of roadway in Redondo Beach, busier than any part of PCH. I'm committed to the South Bay Bicycle Master Plan, which I think will improve traffic flow. We have a new proposal by a company, Car2Go, that will have cars situated throughout the South Bay area that will reduce the number of parked cars around. That should improve traffic flow. So there's a lot of things we're working on. There's a lot of things happening. Being part of the South Bay Council of Governments is part of that solution, and being on their steering committee helps me understand those issues and where the money's coming from.
Thank you. Steve?
The traffic's not just a Redondo Beach issue, it's a regional issue. And depending on when you arrived in Redondo Beach, this traffic is either worse now or it's better now. But I remember when I was 25, 30 years old, it seemed like the traffic was more because El Segundo had more employment then, and people would drive through our city. But in the meantime, the City Council has done many things to help traffic in our city. We have the traffic circle down there in South Redondo, which is an incredible benefit for that area. We've put in speed cushions around town, and the speed cushions are kind of like oysters. You either love them or you hate them, but the people that have them seem to like them, and it does slow down traffic. Okay, so if you want more speed cushions, you're going to have to sign petitions or whatever and get it done. But we have the turn lanes that Matt mentioned, And, you know, when you have a new development, they have to do traffic analysis. And our staff is way more in touch now than it was just a few years ago on the concerns of the people on traffic. So it's better, in my opinion, it's better than it was.
Okay, thank you. And now we'll do our closing statements. You all have 1 minute to do your closing statement. We'll start with Eric.
For months now, I've been walking door to door, speaking with scores of residents and getting to know your concerns. And while our backgrounds may differ, we share a common goal. It's a clear consensus. If we're going to redo Redondo, let's do it right. And the last thing we need is more real estate tycoons, lawyers, and bureaucrats deciding what's best for us and how we should run our own lives. A vote for Coleman is a vote for fresh ideas. A vote for Coleman is a vote to save historic Redondo. A vote for Coleman is a complete waste of time if you believe in the status quo, if you believe in backroom politics, if you believe in a developer-based relationship in City Hall. But I have more faith in you than that, and hopefully you'll make me proud come March 5th.
Matt?
Well, I'm not a tycoon, and I've never been accused of being a lawyer or a real estate broker. I am a teacher in the city of Redondo Beach. I have a proven record of leadership that squeezed 60 years into 20 years, 12 years on city commissions, 8 years on school bond oversight committee, 18 years as a scout leader, 3 years as a scout master, 15 years on AYSO board, and I've served as the Redondo Beach JC's president. My volunteer efforts have given me 2 honors from PTSA and 3 from AYSO for the volunteer work I've done. As mayor, I'll continue to dedicate myself to improving the quality of life for all Redondo residents by restoring personnel to our public safety departments, strengthening the economic climate for business, opposing increases to taxes and fees, and working with the school district to improve parking, traffic, and safety in and around our schools. So I ask for your support in your vote March 5th for Matt Kilroy for mayor. Thank you.
Steve?
Thanks, everyone, for putting up with us this afternoon. I can attest to the fact that I'm not a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, or anybody else. I'm fairly successful for a guy with 6 units of college. But my promise to you is to do the best I can as your mayor. I proactively listen to people. I work on issues that are important to you and the citizens of our city. And throughout my time on the council, I've had an open door policy. We have community meetings the second Saturday of each month, and there's no agenda. And last Saturday, we had over 30 people show up, and I was very proud of that. My service is always number one. I always return my phone calls. I always return my emails. Even if you don't like the answer, I call you back. I will ensure that our city hall is transparent. We will use your tax dollars wisely, and I am an honest guy, believe it or not, and I have integrity and all those good things. I know that as a community, we can come together, and I can still work with my 2 colleagues over here and be their mayor, and I'm looking forward to that. So with that, I'd like you to vote for me and look steveaspel.com, and that's where it's at.
Pat?
For 44 years, my full-time job has been improving the city of Redondo Beach. Building a better Redondo was something I started at 20 years old. And I want to continue to do that for the rest of my life, so to speak, maybe even a little. So, you know, please, I'm running for mayor because I want to continue serving this community. Everyone says that public safety is their number one concern. Well, I think that you need a public safety professional, someone who's been doing it his entire life. That's what I want to continue doing, is making this a better Redondo Beach. So please vote for me on March 5th. Thank you.
Well, we've come to the end of our Mayor's Forum, and I want to thank you all. You've done a great job, and it's been very informative. That's it.
Picture? How about one of these?